Thank you, Rodney. Back in 1987, I informed my sophomore English teacher that the last thing I would do was teach. When I hear a DJ on Monday mornings bemoaning the fact that it's Monday, or on Friday yelling, "Thank God it's Friday," I'm simultaneously confused and saddened. You see, for the last 27 years, I have felt the exact opposite emotions on my Mondays and Fridays. I love teaching, but I didn't always know that I would. This is the story of the year after I graduated from college, when I held 8 different jobs. Where am I? In 1989, I headed south from Brunswick, Maine to commence my job at the Laboratory for Children's Health Promotion. I had majored in psychology and thought I wanted to pursue a career in psychological research. My job, which was situated on the 3rd floor of a small building in Georgetown, D.C., required me to watch videos of 3-year-old children eating meals with their families. I was tasked with transcribing their exact conversations. My office was a small, dark, overly air-conditioned, windowless closet. While the rest of DC was sweltering in the July heat, I was shivering in a closet trying to figure out what 3-year-olds and their parents talked about over meals. Did I mention that my subjects were 3? This job was not exactly what I was expecting from psychological research. Sure, I wasn't naive enough to believe that I was going to jump straight from college to an upper-level research position. But I did see what was coming in this field, and it was not heartening. While I toiled away in my closet translating 3-year-old speak, my bosses were sweating over the next government grant proposal. They needed to figure out where the next paycheck was coming from. I was unimpressed. So I headed back north to join one of my college friends in Maine. What else could I do with a psychology degree? The previous year, I had taken an internship with Arnold & Company, a marketing firm in Portland, Maine. They hired me back for money to do some PR work for Cellular One, which was a local phone company. I was soon to find out that they hired me in a last-ditch effort to keep the business of this client who was about to fire them. I was to take the lead on the PR for this company. What? I don't even know what PR stands for, and they're putting me in charge? Well, my big break came when they announced that they were activating a new cell tower in Falmouth, Maine. They needed me to compose a press release for this exciting news. Well, I went to the grand activation. I took pictures of a cell tower. I toiled over my 4-sentence press release, and 6 weeks later, the 9-square-centimeter article appeared microscopically on page 14 of the Portland Press Herald. Now that was fulfilling. Arnold & Company subsequently lost the business of Cellular One, so, well, yeah. On to job number 3. Advertising was another direction that my degree could take me, and that sounded kind of sexy. So one day, while walking along Main Street in Portland, I saw a sign for New England news features. I was too young and naive to recognize a telemarketing scam when I saw one, so up the stairs I went, and within minutes, I was rehearsing my sales script and thinking, how did I get here? The guy who hired me told me that my voice was very compelling, and he thought I could make a lot of sales. So I may have been suckered, or he may have meant it. At any rate, he could not hear the kind of stomach that I had, which was not one to make a lot of sales. After 2 months working on 10% commission, I had sold exactly 1 ad for $150. I can't remember if he fired me or if I quit. Really doesn't matter. After this disaster, I answered an ad for making jingles. Why not? Can't get any worse. I loved to sing. I thought maybe ads would be fun. I was hired on the spot, and within a week, I had written and recorded my first jingle. An advertisement for Atlantic Coast Studio, the one where I'd just taken a job. I started to smell a rat. This guy wasn't established. I was starting his company for him, and guess what? He wanted me to go out and sell jingles that didn't even exist. So maybe advertising was not my calling. I also answered an ad seeking to be a lead singer in a rock band. I actually drove to some random house, wandered into a stranger's basement, and auditioned for what I soon was to discover a metal band who covers songs that I'd never even heard of. And I'm still alive. If you're doing the math and becoming stressed out at the lack of income I seem to be accumulating, you are not alone. I was too. So, I took a waitressing job in order to make enough money to pay rent on the first floor apartment I was sharing. The restaurant, called Ocean Farms, was right next door to LL Bean. I was a terrible waitress. And here is where things actually started to look up for me in my future. I dropped 6 trays in my illustrious 6-month tenure as a waitress. That's an average of a tray a month. Scallops, baked stuffed lobster, 14 drinking glasses, and my personal favorite, 4 plates of strawberry pancakes. I think the only tips I made were from pure, unadulterated pity. But I loved waitressing. It kept me moving, it kept me thinking, and interacting with a variety of people in an authentic way. If only I could find a career that I was better at than waitressing, but required the same frenetic pace and involved authentic interactions with a variety of people. At about this time, I began to reconsider education. In college, I had toyed with the idea of minoring in ed, but the core courses conflicted with my major. So I trekked up to Bowdoin and reintroduced myself to the career counseling office. How do I get into teaching, or maybe see if I like it? Try substitute teaching was one suggestion, and then get your applications into as many schools as you can. So I did. The substitute teaching was pretty brutal. You should be nicer to your substitutes. It's really hard work. But in May of 1990, I got a phone call from Tabor Academy. They were looking for someone to teach sailing and math at their summer program. Done and done. The sailing part would be easy, but I was also required to teach 2 math classes. 7th grade math for kids who were accelerating, and 8th grade math for kids who had failed. My very first class was exhilarating. And by the end, I was pumped with adrenaline. At one point, I had told the class that because math required practice, they would be expected to complete homework every night. A tough-looking 13-year-old in the back of the room raised his hand. Yo, teach. He probably did not say, yo, teach. But that is totally what I heard. I think he was packing a piece. Yo, teach. If you want to make a good first impression, you don't want to begin by telling us there's going to be homework every day. I was floored, but I fired quickly back, I think you should be more concerned about my first impression of you. And he sat back down. That kid and I ended up having a pretty fruitful relationship after that moment. He decided maybe he could respect me, and he ended up doing pretty well in the class. And I was hooked. So now it's 27 years later, and those silly phrases of Monday misery and Friday jubilation truly baffle me. I can't remember a time when those words resonated with me, and frankly, I feel sad for those people who spend most of their lives experiencing those emotions. I really love what I do, even on those days when it seems like I don't. Yeah. So I guess perhaps it is my obligation or your expectation that I wrap up with a moral. And so I guess that's really, you should try to find something that you like to do and get paid for it. But I think the real takeaway from my story is do not make any major life decisions when you were a sophomore. Thank you.